American people were poorer under the last administration, but they didn't become stupid. They could see that the government was creating a problem, not trying to fix it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something that affects every American, our national debt. It's a number so big it almost doesn't feel real. We're talking about $36 trillion and growing. Our debt is increasing faster than our economy. Let's break it down and see what it means for our future.
The administration, our last administration, tried to argue that Bidenomics was making our lives better, but the American people knew differently. They understood Bidenomics to mean I get to spend more to live worse, and they voted. Now, I mean, the American people were poorer under the last administration, but they didn't become stupid. They could see that the government was creating a problem, not trying to fix it. And they noticed the national debt, too. Put up that first chart for me. You know what our national debt is, Mr. President? $36 trillion. Not million, not billion. $36 trillion. It takes my breath away.
All right, let's start with some perspective. Do you know how long it would take to count to 1 billion? 32 years? To count to 1 trillion? 31,000 years? Our debt is $36 trillion. That's a million years of counting. It's insane. Our debt is beyond 100% of our GDP. We owe more than our economy produces in a year. So how did we get here? Since 2019, America's population has grown by just 2%. But our budget? It's ballooned by 55%. Some spending was necessary during the pandemic, but we kept spending. Add it all up, and you start to see why our debt is out of control.
Highest it's ever been, over 100% of our gross domestic product. Our debt's growing faster than our economy. And we toss around these numbers, $1 trillion, $1 billion, $1 million, $1 squillion, like it's nothing. I want to try to put this in context. If I started counting right now, and I counted one numeral, if you will, per second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I kept counting all day and all night. I didn't sleep. I counted between bites of oatmeal at breakfast. I just counted continually. One numeral per second. It would take me 32 years to count to 1 billion. 32 years to count to 1 billion. It would be 2057. I'd be dead as Woodrow Wilson. I wouldn't live that long. And that's just $1 billion. Our debt's $36 trillion. You know how long it would take me to count to $1 trillion? 31,000 years, if I counted one numeral per second. About as old as Chuck Grassley. 31,000 years. It would take me 1 million years to count to 36 trillion. Those are the kind of numbers we're talking about. And the American people understand it. Since 2019, America's population has grown 2%. We're not having babies. 2%. And that's after massive immigration. You know how much our budget has grown? 55%. 55%. Yeah, we've had inflation, but we hadn't had 55% worth of inflation. That's how we got to this $36 trillion in debt. Put up the next chart for me. Now, some of this money we had to spend during the pandemic, and it was a bipartisan effort during the pandemic. Republicans voted for it, and Democrats voted for it because we had no choice. I was there. I saw it from the inside. We came this close to losing the American economy. And you know who helped a lot, doesn't get enough credit? Jay Powell at the Federal Reserve. I watched it. The whole world wanted to go into a cave and retreat. Back in the Great Recession, I remember all the other countries in the world who looked to us. They may hate us, but they know we're the greatest country in all of human history. They looked to America. And you know what? Back in the Great Recession, all the other countries wanted they wanted treasuries, treasury notes, treasury bonds. Not this time. They were so scared, they didn't want treasuries. They wanted dollars, cash dollars. So Jay Powell, thank the Lord, he goes over to the Federal Reserve. He opens what's called a currency swap line, and he told every country, you want dollars? I'll trade your dollars for your currency. And everything calmed down. He doesn't get any credit for that. But it was a gutsy thing to do. But on top of that, to save the American economy, that wasn't helping the American economy. We had to keep the economy going. We spent a lot of money. But then COVID ended. And what we should have done was go back to pre-COVID spending. But we didn't do that. President Biden, after the shutdowns and the coronavirus, the pandemic was over, passed the American Rescue Plan. COVID was over. He spent $1.9 trillion. Never let a good crisis go to waste. I didn't vote for it. Then he came back and passed what he called an infrastructure bill. It was really just the Green New Deal. I know what's in that bill. That was another $1.2 trillion. And then he passed the Inflation Reduction Act. I didn't vote for it. But that was another $1.0 trillion. And then he passed the CHIPS Act. This is really special. He said, big tech, the semiconductor companies need our money. They need taxpayer money. They're not making enough money. And he gave them money. He didn't give hardware stores money. President Biden didn't give the healthcare industry money. He said, I want to help big tech. And boy, they sucked it up like a Hoover Deluxe.
The impact on you. You might be thinking, okay, so what? It's just a number, right? Wrong. This affects you. More debt means more inflation. Higher prices at the grocery store, the gas pump, and everywhere else. Higher interest rates, harder to buy a house, start a business, or pay off student loans. You're working harder, paying more, and getting less. And that's not fair.
We spent $280 billion subsidizing big tech. And you add it all up, and that's $4.3, almost $4.5 trillion, and that's how we got $36 trillion in debt. And that's why Donald Trump said, I'm going to look at every single line item of spending, and that's why he gave the job to Elon Musk, and that's why Musk is auditing these accounts. But nobody wants to talk about what he's finding. Nobody wants to talk about the spending porn, except the American people. They get it, Mr. President. They get it. And I hope Mr. Musk continues. My colleague and friend, we had a little discussion in banking today. Senator Warner makes a good point. He wants Mr. Musk to come over and talk to Congress about how he's doing this. I'm all for that. I am all for that. I would love to have him come over and walk us through what he's doing and how he's discovering all this spending porn. We need all the help we can get on reducing our spending because we can't continue at this pace. I just wanted to spend a few minutes putting all this in perspective, Mr. President. The world's not going to spin off its axis, folks. Every business that I know of goes through an audit. Now we're being audited, but we're being audited by, not by the usual auditors, but we're being audited by a person appointed by the President of the United States. And I'm betting you when he's through, and he's going to go to all these agencies. He's starting on the Department of Education next. I think he'll end up finding that some of our money is being well spent. But he's also going to find that some of our money is being stolen and it's being wasted. And that's an insult to every taxpayer in this country. So I'm going to end like I began. We ought to be giving Mr. Musk a medal. We ought to be thanking him. Maybe nobody else wants to hear about the spending porn, but I can't wait to read the book. I hope he finds all of it and compiles it. I hope Marco Rubio, our new Secretary of State, takes USAID and shakes them by the shoulder and lifts up the good people there and fires the bad people, the people that wasted taxpayer money like this, giving money to terrorist organizations, giving money to organizations that support Hamas. Hope he gets rid of every single one of them. And I think if we listen to Mr. Musk, we can save a lot of money. And I hope he does come over and explain what he's doing.
What can be done? So what do we do about it? First, we need transparency. Elon Musk is auditing government spending and the results are shocking. Billions wasted on unnecessary programs and fraud. The American people deserve to know where their money is going. Second, we need real spending cuts. Every business balances its budget. Why shouldn't the government? And third, we need accountability. If politicians spend recklessly, vote them out. Call to action. Tired of reckless spending? Want real solutions? Hit that subscribe button now. I cover these topics, breaking down the truth the mainstream media won't tell you. It helps more people see this video and join the conversation. Click that button. Look, we can't keep ignoring this problem. The debt isn't just some abstract number, it's our future. Our kids and grandkids will have to pay for this mess, but we still have time to fix it. Demand accountability, spending cuts, and better leadership. Let's start today. Thanks for watching.